All right, it's working on it. Welcome, welcome, everyone. All right, it's working on it. Trying to see on my other device when we're live. Welcome, welcome, everyone. Trying to see on my other device when we're live. Welcome, welcome, everyone.
Oops, hello.
All right, we are live, Will.
Cool, man.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this time together with William Linville. An opportunity for us to ask him questions and on whatever's presenting for you. Well,
Hey, Mike.
there we go. And I see everyone's in the chat. Your video went out, Will.
Yeah, I was just noticing that, my good friend. Let me see that again. How's that, buddy? Now I see the blue light. Ah, okay, perfect.
Well, we don't see you yet.
I see you.
I know.
Start video. There we are.
There we are. All right. Excellent.
Good morning. Merry Christmas.
We like to play a little, have some fun. So we do have a question that was submitted before we started, and then please just text in the chat your questions. William, this question that starts us off is from Arizona.
Okay.
I need to decide about two different certification programs that provide the same certification certificate, but are two different time frames and different price points. One of them provides a lot of detail about the program, seems more thorough, is quite expensive, and takes about 6 months to a year. And the second one seems to be on training wheels, is only 4 months, and it's affordable. It seems so clear that all I want is the affordable one, where I get the same certification and I don't have to study for a whole year. Why do I have such a hard time deciding? It turns my stomach inside and out. Thank you so much for clarity.
The reason why you're deciding is you're getting trapped between your mind, the intellect, and the shoulds and the ego, because the ego is the part that comes up with all the shoulds, and your heart. The heart says, even with certifications, on and on and on, you got to kind of honor for a moment all the labels behind your name, in front of your name, on and on and on. It's all based in self-importance. It's all based in a lot of ego stuff, to where you're attempting to prove to yourself and others that you're qualified, that you know what you're doing, when you're doing, how you're doing, where you're doing, and so be it and so forth. Now, for yourself, when and as you take a deep breath, regardless of what the certification's for, let's take a nice slow deep breath and ask ourselves, within myself and through myself, as the universal being that I am, as creator that I am, in experiencing, expressing, and emanating that beautiful light beingness within and through myself, incarnate through the physical form, right here, right now, do I feel that as though I have the capabilities to do what I do when I do it, as I do it, how I do it, when I do it? Yay or nay? It's really, really that simple. Reminds me of massage school. Reminds me of all the categories, all the basically elective courses versus all the main courses that it was a requirement to take. Anatomy, you, quote, had to take. Then I elected to take advanced anatomy. But it was more about my own curiosity and my own learning how to be in a body on a planet. Now, taking deep tissue, I found it amazing how you could go into the inside of the front of the pelvis and go all the way through the whole pelvis into the lumbar vertebrae. I found that really amazing. Just not about pressure. Matter of fact, it was hardly any pressure. It was all working with the breath. Now, I found that really amazing how you can do that without any force and how to do it without creating any damage. I found it amazing how the energy in the body works. Now, could I do that before I took the course? Yeah, but there was little steps in between, which I found really interesting, which is really what school and all these different tools, toys, kind of like going to medical school, you're reading all about others' experiences, and you're taking their experiences, you're remembering it all, learning it all, storing it all in your subpsyche. Then you're going to take an examination, and you take the exam from all of their data and information. As long as you remember everything they told you from someone else's experience, yeah, you're going to pass the course. Now, what about your knowing? So to answer your question, how confident do you feel within yourself? Now, you look at the year-long course or several years, however you want to dice it up, and the more expensive, blah, 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 which I don't really see to be a necessity, but it all depends on your confidence. If you can sit back, take a breath and say, yeah, I do know what I'm doing. I trust myself. Or the 4-month course is still the same certificate. I have all these certificates: shiatsu, deep tissue, circulatory, and all these other certificates, anatomy, advanced anatomy, blah, 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 blah. Now, you know, it's interesting. Reiki mastery, kinesiology, and on and on and on. But when it's all said and done, besides looking pretty, if you're going to hang them on your wall, what does it mean to you? It doesn't do anything for you, because it still comes back to your knowing. So I would say take the short course with the understanding that you feel confident within yourself. It's not about money. None of it has to do with money. It has to do with, do you trust yourself?
Thank you, Will. That's awesome.
It's not even about
Question.
knowing your trade, because your trade unfolds and you're never going to know your trade until you get hands-on. Everyone's different, regardless of someone else's experience. Go ahead, Michael.
Okay. This question is typed in from Janetta. How do we remove negative thoughts and feelings?
Number one, in this case, the best way to remove it, which sounds pretty simple, is take a breath in through your nose with your eyes closed, focusing them either towards your nose or towards your third eye. Sit back, take a breath. In this case, I would say inhale for the count of 12. Inhaling all the way down to your crater chakra level vortex, so right between the navel and the gender principle. And I'm having you close your eyes, because it turns off the outside world. When you close your eyes, in all reality, the outside world no longer exists. Hold for the count of 12, down between your navel and your gender principle. Now, exhale through your mouth as slow as you can for the count of 12, like you're trying to blow out a candle. Now, right here, right now, number one is let's not judge the emotion. That's number one. As we judge it as positive, as we judge it as negative, you by default just split yourself. You're feeding it to be positive, you're feeding it to be negative. Let's just now make it about comfort in your body. But now, let's take another breath. And now, let's put it where it belongs. Right now, my body, not myself, my body is experiencing this emotion. Right now, my mind has made all these decisions about a certain circumstance that my body is reacting to be negative. So now we've got further and further away from it because now the mind has made a decision. You bought into it hook, line, and sinker. You adopted it to be true and a reality for yourself. Therefore, your body has stored it and called it reality. So now, let's take another breath. Let's change our mind. We can go into, well, maybe it's not positive, maybe it's not negative. Maybe now it just is. And now from there, whatever the situation is that's occurring around yourself that you've decided is whatever definition you've decided it is, let's look at it now. Let's find the benefit of you, because it's a carnal decision. It's a decision that you listen to the ego in the creation of the ego that you decided was unsafe, good or bad, right or wrong. So right now you decided it to be good or bad or right or wrong. Now let's sit back again. Let's look at the benefit of that decision that you made. Because, you know, that decision, obviously, for everyone, every decision you've made, there's a benefit. Now, let's find the benefit. How has you making that decision served you? How has it served you? How has it got you in your life to where you're at now in your life? I'm not saying it's always pleasurable, but being alone, hidden away in the cellar, untouchable and affectable by the outside world, yeah, there's benefits to that. Being elderly, hidden away in your home, your apartment, in the middle of nowhere, there's benefit to that. So what is the benefit for yourself? Because this is where we become free from those emotions. When we step back for a moment, we take a breath for a moment, we start seriously looking at the whole picture, seriously looking at the benefit of what we're experiencing, why we're experiencing it, what decision we made that made this be a reality for yourself. Now, it's technically a decision, but a decision, any way we dice it up, is still a judgment. It's a judgment. The energy got blocked with that judgment, because that's how judgments work. It's like putting a steel block in a flowing stream of energy. And before you know it, the energy's dammed up like a river. And then the energy builds up and builds up, just like a dam does. And now it's called emotion. Now it's called stored emotion, suppressed emotion, whatever. Deep-seated fear, deep-seated anger, you know, there's guilt, and there's no rhyme or reason. It's just a conglomerate of emotion. Now we stand up, we take a breath. We look around us now. And it's right now, come right into the relevance of the now. the only thing on this planet, the only thing through your body, the only thing through your mind that is real. The only thing that's real is right here, right now, you in your body, you with a body, you in your body, you with a mind, you orchestrating the mind, your body and your mind in yourself, in this room. The only thing that's real is what's around you. If you're in a field, if you're in a park, if you're on the grass watching birds, great. That's the only thing right here, right now, that is real. You cannot prove that what's outside the house is real. You can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it. Now, it's not real. Now, you walk out the door, you go out into the street, or you walk across that field, what's behind you is no longer real. So right now, this is where we put an end, and we literally dissolve all this clutter that's been stored within yourself. Now, going back to the internalized, perceivable negative emotion, it's interesting, right? Because now we start to even resolve and dissolve all these judgments that have been blocking all this energy, creating discomfort in your body and in your life. And now, as we find the benefit, now let's replace it with something that you do enjoy. Let's replace it with something that, you know, let's play the attitude of gratitude. What, right here, right now, are you grateful for? Let's keep it simple. What's it like for your body to be able to breathe? What's it like to have sustenance, to have a nose, ears, eyes, corpuscles of touch? What is it like to be able to hear, see, taste, walk, function? I mean, these are major things, right? What's it like to have running water? So this is where we start shifting over, and I would encourage you to make a list once a day, or maybe every other day, a gratitude list. Because this is where we start to dissolve all the things that are perceivably, through the ego, that are perceivably not going on for you. And we start being able to make the shift to waking up to everything that's truly going on. And in that small little swamp, rather than a pond, it dies off and dies up. And before you know it, we have all this now flowing streams of energy and consciousness coming in, coming through, and your whole world opening up, including new camaraderies coming in, and new opportunities and new levels of enjoyment, and higher levels and higher states of enjoyment. All right, Mr. Michael.
Wonderful, William. This question is from Carrie Lake.
From who?
What's that?
Who's this from?
Carrie Lake.
Okay.
Would you please speak about surrendering into expansion, even when it makes the head spin, when the only anchor point is the body, because it feels like you don't know who you are in the moment?
Can you repeat that, Michael?
Would you speak about it surrendering into expansion?
Okay.
Even when it makes your head spin and it feels like you don't know who you are in the moment.
Yeah, that's a very important one, because right now, let's all just take a breath again. Let's all put things in perspective once again. As we put things in perspective, what do we all accept? You only have control over two things. Two things, totally. Not your environment, not your safety, not your abundance, not your partner, not your family monad. The only two things that you truly at the epitome of it all, the only two things you have control over is your actions and reactions. That's the only two things, period. You don't even have control over breathing or not breathing. You could sit there, hold your breath as long as you can in your body, and body's going to pass out and it's going to keep breathing. I mean, it's kind of ironic. So the body was built to live, thrive, and survive. And it is what it is. Now, from here, let's all take another breath. Let's see and feel. For some, it's very scary, depending on how much you attempt to micromanage and control. Now, trying to expand, that's a whole nother feat in itself of, once again, the attempts of control. You either are expanded or you're not. So we step back for a moment and we ask ourselves one simple question. What right now am I buying into right now that's having me become preoccupied out of the love that I am, from the love that I am? What am I letting have so much power right now that is taking me out of my natural state of who I am, out of my heart? What am I giving so much energy to? What am I giving so much power to that I'm letting it overtake me and affect how I feel? You know, here, this is a great example. You know, there's so many dear ones and so many groups that are just so preoccupied, whether it's politics, whether it's religion, whether it's wars, whether it's conspiracies, whether it's whatever it may be, finances, global markets, whatever, whether it's culture, color, creed versus other culture creeds, whether it's whose country's better than whose countries, and blah, blah, blah. And so preoccupied on woe is them and then us, tornadoes, hurricanes, illnesses, all this other stuff. Now, if you really want to do something about it, the biggest gift you can do anyone and everyone and yourself is to step up, connect with your heart, and walk your walk. As light, as love. Look around. Connect with your neighbors. Say hello. Smile. There's nothing to prove. Let's all take the word enlightenment, take it into our backyard at the fire pit, light it on fire, and let's just be enlightened. Enlighten the whole Coscore record and the effect of it. And the only thing it's ever meant is the absence of density. Enlightened is to let go of fear, let go of judgment, technically, because judgment is the source and the cause, the core, the record, and the effect of all fear. It's the cause, core, record, and the effect of all emotion. If you want to get to the source, it's not about Pakistanians, it's not about Iraq, Iran, it's not about Russia, it's not about the US, it's not about any other religions. It's about judgment. That's a global issue. Now, if you want to vibrate faster, great. All right, universe, tell me to love and not to judge. Not become another martyr, because this isn't about going to the opposite extreme. It's about walking your walk and being true to yourself. Something either has you feel lighter, brighter, and clearer, more expressive, expansive, because you're in your heart, and because what you're doing, whatever you're doing, however you're doing it with your heart, through your heart, and as your heart. No longer about a little me, sex, power, greed, and primality, because you're doing it because it feels good, because it is good. Not from a polarized good, but because anything and everything you're doing, expressing, saying, sharing, is you feel lighter, brighter, clearer, sharper, not about the next Art Bell show, not about the next false conspiracy. Governments try to be in control, whatever. Who cares? Who gives one iota? They're going to do what they're going to do no matter what. So who cares? It's not affecting you when you vibrate beyond all the little stuff. It doesn't matter. Only thing that matters is you are creator incarnate, and you're accelerating and vibrating well beyond the density. So we skip all the empathetic, sympathetic nonsense where you become internalized, engrossed in clearing all the stuff through your body. You were never meant to clear the stuff through your body. You already did the toughest part, which is waking up. Why reabsorb all this hoopla when it has nothing to do with you? You're the light on the planet, not the clearing station. It's like me looking at all these dear ones in Ukraine or Russia or wherever, me looking at all the Jewish dear ones in Germany or wherever, way back at the Holocaust, and saying, looking at them as creator, expressing through carding, saying, woe is creator. I mean, that would be a bummer for myself and for them, because I would be looking down on them as creator. They are a creator. Don't you suppose they, as creator, know what they're doing?
Thank you, William. Next question is from Iona Easterberry. When we are publicly judged for expressing our higher truth by a friend, that friend is in a spiritual group with her, would you consider that out of integrity or just a lesson in greater love?
One thing I would call it, number one, first thing I would say, spiritual groups, they're a funny thing, because unfortunately, a lot of spiritual groups, they're given the name spiritual groups, whatever their belief systems are, philosophies are, whatever. But in all reality, it's just a new age name for another church, another religion. Doesn't matter if it's lightworkers.com, it doesn't matter if it's enlightenment, whatever. It, unfortunately, many put all these dear ones, crimson, circle, tide, or whatever else. They're not bad. They're not whatever, because it all comes back to you as the individual. And it all comes back to you being on your own pedestal as creator incarnate, not putting another on one. Now, when I look at this situation, I would not so much be harsh on this dear one, because there's many facets to this. One, I would say larger love and a lot of compassion for the dear one who feels it to be a necessity to judge you because of all their insecurities. And the more that you're vibrating faster, the more that you're lightening up, the more that you're amplifying, the more that you're accelerating, the more that you're evolving as well. It's unfortunate, but many dear ones, unfortunately, in all these groups, they have a space and a place for everyone. Then when one wakes up, one accelerates or ascends in vibrational frequencies and consciousness. When one arises beyond the box that others put them in, well, it kind of shakes up their whole perception of their comfort zone through the ego arrogance. And then they start to feel threatened. And so they go into perceptual judgment, they go into projection, they go into all this stuff. And that's where, it's bringing up their 8-year-old little child that basically is just parts of them that have not made it to current age, in all these places where you just see their pain and torment coming up to the forefront, and where I would open our hearts even more to have more compassion for the dear one. Now, does it mean we go and shack up and have coffee, tea, or whatever with them and open up your heart so they can gather more to their toolbox? No. This is where wisdom comes in. We have compassion for them, but it doesn't mean we lay there as a welcome mat either. We're not going into protection, we're not going into fear, but this is where we come to our divinity and our own discernment. On the other hand, is there one showing you, quite literally, how much you can trust them and how much you could trust them with. Now, I would say, when I'm talking about trusting yourself, I trust wholly and fully and completely. It's not even a thing. But here's the deal. When I say, all right, higher levels, all right, universe, creator consciousness, take command of my soul, my life, my work, my wealth, my mind, my body, my world. Speak to me, steer me, and journey me, and fully incarnate within me. Yes, I say it, I mean it, and I am it. But I'm not saying, brother humanity, take command of my soul, my life, my work, my wealth, my mind, my body, my world, and speak through me, steer me, and journey me, because I wouldn't be that ignorant to give my power away to brother humanity when I know brother humanity is a little bit on the scale of schizophrenia, and how a lot of dear ones are having temper tantrums, like just a lot of little toddlers running around. So that's where it would not be using much wisdom or discernment on my part, because dear ones have their issues. But that's where it comes back to when you hear these terminologies, going direct. Well, going direct between you, your higher levels, the whole universe, your creator levels, your entourage. Now it's cool and wonderful when dear ones come into your live stream that are at a state where it's not an issue. I mean, I'm a wide open book. You ask me a question, I'm going to give you an answer. I don't hold stuff back. I don't play that game, because it's like, I just really don't care what people think of me. But at the same time, it's like, if I know someone's coming in with a whacked out agenda and all this competitive stuff, I'm the first one to say, look, you win. Now you want to have a cup of coffee, because I'm just not going to play the game. It doesn't serve anyone to play that game. And secondly, I just don't put myself in situations that I know there's all the Enlightenment Olympics in ego games. That's you, that's you walking your walk, sweetheart, and honoring your heart and yourself.
Wow, thank you, William. Our next question is from Tina. A loved one has coronavirus right now. Can I bind out what is not of her highest good to help, or can I do more? Thank you.
I would say most definitely yes. I would even stimulate her 10th thoracic vertebrae. And you'll know, because it'll be very sensitive. And that vertebrae is where you stimulate it with, about a pound of pressure with the flat parts of your fingers, just stimulating up and down. It's right around the brassiere line, where it releases natural antibodies in her system. And then from there, I would have her have a lot of smart water or electrolyte water. The purer, the better. So you can buy the packets of all that stuff. But I would prefer like electrolyte water, smart water, stuff that's already together, not necessarily adding electrolytes, because the body, a lot of times, it doesn't recognize that as real electrolytes. So if you get smart water, or you can even buy the Costco water, it's one of the cleaner waters, believe it or not, and super reasonable. Now, that you can do, and then also starting to give her more, it looks to me like minerals, like having her take Epsom salts baths, as well as more colloidal trace minerals, as well as colloidal silver, and a lot of, it looks like protein in the form of fish, as well as fish oil. That's going to really start passing these issues through, or the virals through. And then secondly, I would have you lay your hands on her tummy and welcoming in the highest vibratory levels of frequency and of energy that is in her highest and best good, and for the highest and best good of all concerned, and laying your hand on her tummy, both your hands, and just letting the energy run through. And then from here, I would start having more dialogues about what it's like to be in a female structure, and then a lot of dialogues, because when I'm looking at the Costco reckoning effect of it, I see her keeling over, holding her tummy as a very little one. It's like pretty much in the womb, even incarnational, and it involves herself. And this time around, it involves the one that plays her mom. So now, is it about her mom issues? No, it has more to do with the issues around being in a feminine structure. But yes, there are a lot of mother issues. And that gets very confusing because it's not just about her mom personally. It's more about the divine feminine. And the more that you can assist her to start clearing that up, or at least, I would share things like, isn't it really odd to be ourselves, but then be in a female structure? It's the oddest things. It isn't even also really, really odd, even without saying a word, all the assumptions, all the projections, and all the rules that were laid upon us just by having a vaginal canal and mammary glands, when technically they're only organs. And, whoever sentenced us to all these, got to wear, spring, the latest and greatest fall colors, spring colors, and face paints and all this other stuff. Sometimes don't you just wish we put on Bermuda shorts and go to the beach and, I don't know, smoke a pipe or whatever. Things that would be out of character, not that it's not doable, but things that can start breaking down the mold of all the rules. Not to go to the opposite extreme, but I'm looking at how tied up the dear one is in their body that allowed for them to contract this virus in the first place.
And there was a follow-up question: is they won't be near this person from a distance. Additionally, how can they assist them from a distance energetically?
Do the same thing. Grab a teddy bear, grab a pillow. And this is where we can work on them as a surrogate. We can make a pillow their body. Okay. We're running energy through. When I do energy work in the evening, I tune into you. There's times where you'll feel me standing next to you. But I have two different bears. One's called Teddy Be Caring that I got in Seattle from my angel as a gift. And I have another one I got recently from my angel. And I use them as surrogates for you. And that bear literally turns into you. And sometimes I'm standing in the room with you and I'm tuning into you, and I'm doing energy work, clearing out debris in your Akashic record realms, your soul level, on and on and on, mental body, pain body, and rebuilding the physical body, and also assisting in connecting with your higher level with lower levels. Now, from here, I'm also being presented with, you don't need to know what it is personally. You don't need the research unless you have free time in your hands. I would invoke the power of the Seihei Ki. That's for emotional healing through the Reiki. It's a Reiki symbol, but we're using energy, higher and higher vibrationally frequency of energy beyond Reiki. And also the Chokure, which amplifies the energy and the healing and locks it in permanently. And I would encourage that you would use those, just invoke them, just like, all right, now I invoke the power of the Chokure, the Seihei Ki, because it's a necessity, no, but it is a compliment. And then from there, you don't have to be Reiki attuned and blah, blah, blah. Now, it's not just about the symbols. It's about narrowing down specifically, with giving the energy a specific direction for what you're assisting the dear one specifically with. Now, the bodies are funny because you may come in, if I was still seeing dear ones in my home office, you may come in with a broken toe and I may be working on putting your jaw back into place, even though I may be holding your toe. It's because the body's going to use the energy for what's most pertinent. Now it's going to get around to the toe, but it's interesting. The body's going to use it for the things that are most important. So with this tier 1, yeah, it's going to start restoring the tier 1's liver. It's going to restabilize the pancreas and the spleen, the colon, the small intestine, the large intestine. Then it's going to go for the COVID. Okay.
Wonderful, William. Thank you. And thank you all for joining us live here. This has been so wonderful, William. As always, my heart feels more expansive after feeling you, hearing you, listening to you. So thank you very much.
And you too, buddy. We sure love you all. And thank you for being a part of this. Always so much fun.
Love you. Bye for now.
Love you, buddy.
Until next month.